Wynorrific, a word balanced between beauty and terror. Welcome back, dear listeners, to another Wynorrific Wednesday. I am your devoted hostess, Lady Noelle, your guide through the shadows, where whispers become wails and reality warps at the edges of the unknown. Tonight, we step into the twilight of folklore and fate, deep into the Appalachian wilds, where an ancient beast preys not just on flesh, but on the fragile fabric of the mind. So settle in, my friends, lock your doors, dim the lights, and prepare for a journey into the dark places where nightmares are born. Our tale tonight is a grim legend whispered through generations, a story of survival, sin, and a creature older than the hills themselves, featuring a name spoken only in hushed warnings, for to say it aloud is to invite it closer. And once it has found you, there is no escape. Written by Nora Peavy and performed by Danielle Hewitt, Lucius Voss, and NM, this is Cattywampus.
William, Lucille, their two boys Richard and Addison, and little Sally sat down in their one-room clapboard cabin. The wind howled outside around them. Shake stuffed into the cracks of the walls kept the chill out. Bugs could be seen scuttering around the shake on the inside of the cabin walls. Amongst the clatter and scraping of silverware against dishes, a great caterwauling echoed outside in the dark. They stopped, silverware poised to their lips.
Pa? It's a cattywampus.
That's nothing but a bobcat. Go on now and finish your supper before it gets cold, and I'll boil you some water for your bath. Gotta be clean for the Lord's Day, you know.
She ruffled Addison's hair and kissed the top of his sweet head. Addison was her favorite. He was inquisitive, never made a fuss, and helped with all the chores without asking.
I'm tired of eating buttered noodles and mashed potatoes.
Be glad you got that, Sally. Some folks don't even get that during the Depression. Now eat. It's a cattywampus. I know it.
His brother grinned and rapped Addison on the head with his tin knife.
Stop it, Richard. You're scaring your brother. Putting those cotton-picking ideas in his head. What the devil's gotten into you, huh?
William put down his fork and knife.
Take a lantern and go check on the mare. She's in foul. Going to be near any time now. But no buts. Go on now. Get.
Richard took the lantern and opened the creaky door. The wind yanked it out of his hand. He popped his head out into the chilly night. His breath showed in the air, and he hoped a booger wasn't hiding around the corner to snatch him up. Grass crunching beneath Richard's boots, he zipped up his denim jacket all the way over his overalls as he trod to the front of the pasture, wishing it was warmer. But Ma had used the best rags she could to mend the tears, and they couldn't afford a new jacket or overalls for him until school time. The mare lay down about 5 feet from him in an unnatural pose, her head cocked toward the sky, her mouth open, gasping for air. And standing over her was the most horrifying creature. Richard set down the lantern, but couldn't run. It wasn't a booger. It was worse than a booger. It was the cattywampus, with its jaws wide open over the mare's head, ready to devour it in one snap. Its fangs were the width of little 8-year-old Richard's arms. The mare lay moaning, with a huge chunk missing from the side of her neck, her flesh steaming in the cold night. 2 pigs, one beheaded and the other missing its hindquarters, lay in scarlet pools and their cow had 3 huge bite marks on its flank. It struggled to get up, its eyes rolling back in its head. The Cattywampus had 4 little arms with the menacing paws of a mountain lion, and its back legs were a powerful bear's. Its matted fur gleamed silver in the dark. The color of the Catawba River on a moonlit night. 2 giant globes for eyes glowed crimson, piercing his chest and snatching his breath away. It lashed its long tail and advanced. As it got closer, Richard saw the long tufts of its ears and a bobcat's face. It let out another loud, otherworldly screech. A rectangle of light showed behind him from the doorway, which meant safety, as his paw came out with his shotgun and moved forward, aiming to rescue his son. But Richard didn't want any rescue. He wanted revenge for every time his paw hit him, his ma, or his little brother. When his dad was drunk in his ways, as Ma said. And now was his chance. Richard didn't understand the power that the Cattywampus possessed to drive men mad, or he wouldn't have done what he did. He couldn't ignore the voice in his head. It screamed so loud. Go on, Richard. Take the gun from your paw. Take it. Clock him over the head. Hit him. Hit him hard. Then go inside and kill your ma. You've been thinking about it for at least the last year now. Can't think about anything else but why she didn't save you from your oldest sister. And your sister's up and married and left you. And the house is quiet at night. And you have these thoughts running around your head like dogs barking. Why? Why didn't she come and save you? She was your ma.
No!
Richard clapped his hands over his ears, rocking back and forth.
Leave me alone! You're not real!
He counted to 5 and opened his eyes. But the Cattywampus loomed over him with its festering breath, shreds of cow dripping from its lower canines. It growled low in its throat and cackled, a great whoosh of fetid air, blowing Richard's bangs back from his forehead.
Now you leave my son alone and step away from him. Right now! You hear me, Cattywampus?
Richard's paw advanced on the Cattywampus. The Cattywampus hissed at the sight of cold steel reflected under the moon and knocked over the lantern. The pungent smell of kerosene, followed by flames licking up into the night as the Cattywampus howled and jumped back.
Get behind me, Richard! Go on, get!
The flames gobbled the pasture greedily. You know what he did to your ma. He forced himself on her. And she screamed high to hell like a preacher on Sunday in church. He hit her so hard that her head hit the headboard, and she passed out. Just take the gun and finish him, Richard. Finish him for your ma. And what about your little brother? All the times he visited his bedroom at night, when your ma was sound asleep. You could stop him. That's how it started with your sister. And look what she did to you. Your preacher said it was a sin what happened. But you can fix that too. You can wash yourself clean with one bullet and stop Addison from becoming just like his sister and your pa. Go on now. William stared it down and prepared to shoot the Cattywampus. It growled low in its throat and leapt at him. William sidestepped, but those red globes pierced his soul. Images of a massacre sliced through his brain, screaming, red, blood pooling in mashed potatoes, brains on the worn cabin floor, bodies limp, resting at the table. The stink of a fall in the air. He could taste it, thick and rotting on his tongue, cackling like a megalomaniac. They are all holding you back, William. They are all holding you back. Those little brats. They eat so much. And they don't help around the farm like grown men and your wife. You have to be a man and take what's yours in the bedroom, because she won't give you any on some nights. It's a woman's place to pleasure her man and wash the dishes and have babies and take care of the family and her husband. And she's not doing it. Just shoot her and the little brats. Then you can salvage your meat and have enough to eat. Probably until spring comes at least. Just do it. Walk inside with that gun and pull the trigger. Go and take care of the rest of your family. William grinned and did a jig with the shotgun.
And a do-si-do, and away we go!
He stood there with the gun clenched in his hands, hooting and hollering, bent over under the moonlight.
Richard, stay outside. But, Pa!
Richard saw his pa no longer inhabited his body. His eyes were empty. Something darker had taken over. His pa had a malicious glint in his eyes as he licked his lips and turned his back on his son. Richard tried to outrun his pa to the yellow rectangle of light, and his ma and his brother, to safety and warmth. But his pa turned around and shot him in the kneecap.
I told you to stay outside, boy.
The sudden stab of hot pain sank him to his knees. His scream cut through the darkness like a blade.
Ma!
From the doorway, his ma came running, her cotton house dress flying around her as she saw the gun in William's hand, and her boy, Richard, hobbled on the ground. A curtain of blood spreading around him. His eyes white as lilies of the valley.
William, what have you done? My baby!
Lucille tried to run to Richard.
Get inside, Lucille. Go on, get! Before the Cattywampus takes you and not Richard.
But William pointed the gun at her. Her eyes finally settled on the tallest creature she'd ever seen, with the red glowing globes piercing her heart. It licked its lips and cleaned behind one tufted ear, then let out a huge yowl which cut straight to the spine. That's right, William. Let her go for now. Soon, we're going to get to play with her. We'll have a grand old time with her and the other two kids. But put this one out of its misery. Put it down like you put a cow down in the pasture for slaughter. The Cattywampus loomed over William, its tail lashing faster and faster, flexing its claws. Put him down, son.
Pa, no!
Richard covered his head with his arms so he wouldn't see what was coming. The shot echoed in the holler.
Richard!
Kill them. Maim them. Extinguish them. Murder them all. Put a bullet in them. Don't you want to taste meat again? Real meat? I killed all these creatures for you. For you, William. You can sup at my table, and all I ask is that you murder the little bastards. Do you know how lovely a human brain tastes with potatoes? Especially if it's cooked just right. I can show you. I know how, but I can't cook it myself. Shoot 'em. Do it. You know you want to, William. William stood under the moonlight in the pasture screaming, his hands over his ears as he bent over in agony, dropping the shotgun. The beast advanced, its red eyes honed in on William as it bared its fangs and raised all 4 of its arms to gut William. William squinted, his eyes closed, piss dribbling down the front of his overalls. "If you won't kill them, I will. I'll gut Lucille like a fish and eat her liver first. And then I'll take poor little Richard. And I'll bite his ears off first, and then his nose, relishing the salty taste of his blood as I swallow every drop."
No, no, no!
William beat his ears with his fists until they bled.
Get out of my thoughts! Jesus, help me in my time of need! I beg you! My Father who art in heaven!
Do you really think your God is here with you right now? Look around. Where is he? The beast turned on its muscular bare legs and saw no one as it laughed maniacally, the tufts of hair on its ears shaking as its head bobbed. "Your God has forsaken you. There is only me. Bow to me, and I might consider saving your family." From the ground rose Richard, his teeth gritted, holding his right arm with his left. He found a long stick nearby and pulled himself upright, hobbling away, a trail of wet crimson leading to the safety of that yellow shaft of light. Home. Ma. Safety. But he didn't make it. A second shot rang out in the night and struck him in the back. He crumpled to the ground, blood spurting from his mouth, and the stick rolled from his outstretched hand. "Now go finish them." The Cattywampus's eyes glowed ruby in the dark as the fire spread closer to the slaughtered animals in the field. William picked up his gun from where he dropped it after shooting his firstborn son and stepped with purpose towards his house. The Cattywampus followed, chaos and hunger in its eyes, a slathering beast. Lucille had shut the door to protect her 2 younger children. They huddled under the kitchen table together, but it did nothing to protect them. She held a hand over Addison's mouth and Sally as William kicked in the door with his size 11 boot.
Where are you, Lucille? Children, get out here. Pa has a present for you.
William cackled. The Cattywampus watched eagerly from the window out front, backlit by the raging fire behind him. Smoke twisting like imps dancing in the night. The stench of charred flesh filling its nostrils. It raised its head to the sky and bellowed, pressing its 4 cat feet against the window. The Cattywampus raked its claws down the glass, a horrible ear-screeching sound. Lucille and her 2 children shivered, and hot tears ran down their cheeks to wet their necks. They knew there was no escape. William kicked over the table. Tin plates, mashed potatoes, soup, knives, spoons, candlesticks, wax, and forks went flying. The 3 of them huddled close by.
"William, why are you doing this? It's us, your family. Little Addison and Sally, remember?"
Lucille signaled for her kids to stay where they were as she crept towards her husband. She stood up slowly and kissed his cheek.
Get off me, you harlot.
William slammed her with the butt of the rifle, drawing a line of blood on her cheek. He hit her other cheek, leaving her with matching gashes. She didn't cry out. She knew it would do no good. Outside, the Cattywampus licked its slick, rotten lips, its breath fogging up the window.
"William, the field is burning."
He turned around for a second, and she pulled on the rifle, managing to pry it from William's grip.
Woman, give me that back.
No, for all that's holy, I will not, William.
Her gaze of steel burned into his heart. She shot, and the life left William's eyes as he fell to the floor. For a moment, everything stopped whirling around Lucille. The bands around her chest eased, but it was only for a moment. The Cattywampus cut a hole with one filthy claw to better see its prey. Lucille, you never wanted those babies anyway. They weren't born of love. They were born of anger. And you never really loved them the way a mother should. If you kill them now, you can be free. Nobody will know out here. It's fine. When someone finally comes to the cabin, they'll blame William. They'll see he went crazy, slaughtered the animals in his family. Your family's name will be safe. Your children will hunger no more. You will hunger no more. You'll be doing them a favor.
No, I won't be doing them a favor. A mother doesn't kill her babies.
But Lucille looked at how scrawny and cold they were. Little Sally is going to get a cold this winter. She's going to die of consumption. Do you want that for your baby? She could go fast now. Stop her suffering. A mother's love knows no bounds. Lucille turned to look at Sally, tears overflowing her pretty cornflower blue eyes.
Ma, what's wrong?
Little Sally shivered with her brother's arm around her. She was so cold. The orange flames outside looked so warm and inviting. Are you cold, little one? That's right. Go towards the fire. You don't have to be cold ever again. There's plenty of food waiting on the other side, and you can see your pa and your brother again. Go on. Just keep walking. Straight for the flames. Go on, little one. Addison knew there was no end to what this monster was capable of. He scrambled for the gun near his now dead pa. It was heavy in his tiny hands. He lifted the barrel and aimed it at the Cattywampus through the window. Lucille took the gun from Addison.
Ma?
Go back and see your sister, boy. It'll be okay.
Take your best shot, Lucille. I bet you can't do it. And a shot rang out in the night again. The Cattywampus fell to the grass while the fire blazed and the charred animals stank outside. And inside, blood pooled thick on the floor. Outside, Richard lay dead. Addison, Sally, and their ma clung to each other. Alive. They were still alive. As they hugged each other, though, from the shadows crept another Cattywampus, with a low, menacing growl in her throat and a protective glint in her red eyes. She huddled over her son, cradling his head on her legs, brushing his silver and black fur gently with her long claws. She lifted her cat face to the night sky and let out a magnificent screech, chilling enough to break the bones of the dead buried in the mountain. And then she turned her sight on Lucille, Sally, and Addison, clinging to each other in their ruined cabin with their wide eyes. She sniffed the air, the tang of blood and fresh meat curling her lips back. She reached through the broken window with one cat paw and yanked the little girl from her ma.
No! Baby Sally, I'm sorry. Ma is so sorry. Please, no. Don't do this.
You don't get to tell me no. I am a ma too. And you killed my little boy. A child for a child is even and right. She goes with me, and you stay here.
But where are you taking her?
into the dark of the forest, far away from men who only hurt beasts and see them as food or workers. She will be my daughter, for I no longer have any family on this lonely mountainside since my boy died. I walk alone, and nights are long. But she'll do. She'll keep me company. Come on, child. She took Sally and the two walked past the smoldering field.
My feet hurt.
Come here, sweetheart. The Cattywampus cradled Sally against her chest.
Your fur smells like fire in the forest.
The Cattywampus smiled. Yes, my dear heart. And she began to sing the end of Appalachian Lullaby as they walked beyond the tree line. Sleep, my baby, nestled in your mama's arms. Sleep, my baby. The angels keep you from harm.
That was Cattywampus, a tale that reminds us of the monsters we fear in the dark, and the ones that dwell within us. But wait, was that Lucius Voss I heard? Hi, Lucius. Our ethereal host of Spectral Margins stepped out from his mausoleum of madness to share his talents with us tonight. You can hear more of him right here on our network on Tuesday nights. Danielle's amazing talents can be heard by visiting our friends at the Creepy Podcast at www.creepypod.com. Keep an ear out for this one. Some horrors can be fought with fire and steel, but others, my dear listeners, creep into the mind, twisting the soul beyond repair. Tell me, if you heard the Cattywampus outside your window tonight, would you dare to look? And so, dear listeners, another Wynorrific Wednesday fades into the night. Tonight, we wandered the haunted woods, meeting creatures that hunger for more than flesh. But the real question is, will you still hear their whispers when the episode ends? As always, if you enjoyed tonight's stories, let us know in the comments. Like, subscribe, and share with your fellow night dwellers. And if you wish to take Wynorrific Wednesdays beyond YouTube, remember, we're also available in podcast form, so you can carry these nightmares with you wherever you go. Until next time, may your nights be filled with Wynorrific wonders, your dreams vivid, and your fears well-kept secrets. Sweet dreams, my friends.